Hi everybody, DM Kevin here. Happy New Year. 2018 is on us already, and we here at Dungeon Crawl Gaming want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Hey, I'm bringing you a special Kevin's Corner upon request. This actually came from one of my players. They're thinking about maybe doing world building or something like that. And so what they had a question about villages versus cities and whether they should have villages in their campaign or cities in their campaign, or a mix of both, or more of one and more or less of another. Now, the thing about villages and cities is this. What kind of campaign are you planning on running? If you're going to be running a campaign that's more high-level magic, more high-level things like that, most definitely you're going to need cities, because the cities would be developed based around the magical aspect of your realm. If you look, for example, if you look at Forgotten Realms, for example, you have two major cities. The two major cities that I'm talking about are going to be Neverwinter and Waterdeep. Now, you have Baldur's Gate, and you have some other cities that are kind of spread out across, but a lot of the other ones are more, they're not cities. They're actually just small villages, hamlets, if you will, that have been set up across the realm. So therefore, you have your two major cities, and then you have the smaller villages, per se. Now, if you're having I mean, honestly, depending on the size of your continent and the size of your realm, you may want to have a capital city and maybe two or three other cities that do the majority of the work. Then everything else will be the small village hamlet types. Now, the differences can be really up to you as the world builder, because you're the one who is actually making this. You're the one who is actually going around and you're saying what is going to be in each city or what's going to be in each village. Now, the one thing you have to be careful about, though, is that when you're putting villages and cities into your maps, for example, villages, very simple NPCs that may relate to the storyline or may not relate to the storyline. They may just be the innkeeper. They may be the stable master. Now, you also have to keep in mind that in most villages, there's three types of shops you're looking at: weapons, armor, and accessories. Those are the three types of shops that you're going to want to have kind of spread out around the majority, depending on whether it's a high level or low level. Most small villages would have a blacksmith who would do the armory, and also would do like the horseshoes for the horses, fix any farming equipment that might break. So you're looking at a blacksmith shop at least. Then you're going to be looking at some kind of armor, and that's mainly going to be for, when I say armor, I'm not really talking about like the knight in shining armor type aspect. The armorer could be someone who might have a little bit of knowledge in how to repair armor, or it could be a leathersmith, for example, that does leather work, that everybody wears leather around the area, so therefore the armor they have in that area is leather, so therefore he is the leather maker or the leather worker, and so he makes all the leather armor for that area. That's what you're going to be looking at for the armor aspect. Now, if it's a dwarven village or a dwarven underground, you're going to have an armorer who fixes the armor for everybody who comes through. So that's really going to be up to you. But keep in mind that these, like the weapons shop, the armor shop, and then also your accessories, the general store per se. The general store, you're not going to have probably more than one in a small village. If that, you may have just someone who happens to have some extra stuff laying around that opens up every morning and everybody goes to that house If they need a couple extra things, they pay the guy. He could be, just the small merchant of the village. Now, they're not going to have a lot of extras. They're not going to have a lot of the larger things. If you need like 350-foot rope, they're not going to have that. If you need bed rolls, they probably won't have bed rolls. They're going to have very simple things. They might have some extra rations laying around. They're definitely not going to have potions, things like that. So in a village setting, you want to keep those more simple. It's very simple, as a matter of fact. You want the cities to be the ones that people go to for the weapons and for the arms, or for the armor and for the enchanted items and for the ropes and the potion. That's where they go. They go to the cities for that. The villages are going to be there to help them out. Here's some food. Here's some shelter. We have an inn down right over here. You can spend the night at the inn. You may want to give the NPCs a little bit of a storyline just to kind of get them going in the right direction. The guy at the inn has heard rumors that if they go further north, they'll run into some NPC that they really need to run into, and so it's like, or drop them a name. Now, just keep in mind that a lot of the villages are not going to have specialty items. So if you keep you will train your party to not ask those questions. If they go into a village the first time and you tell them, no, we don't have this, no, we don't have that. They go into the second village. No, we don't have this, no, we don't have. Guess what? They're going to stop asking. And then as soon as they get to a city, they're going to be like, okay, we got to get potions, we got to get rope, we got to get a bedroll, we got to get this, we got to get that. That's where they're going to kind of go into that. But you want to train them to look at it as the villages are kind of waypoints. The cities are the major focus of buying. Another thing, villages, they may have a shrine set up to a certain god, or maybe they have a multi-god shrine that they have set up that everybody in the region or everybody in that area will come together on their night of the week, per se. Some on Wednesdays, some on Saturdays, some on Sundays. And they do their praying at the shrine to their god. And, there's a simple cross set up, and that's it. And then they come, they pray to their god, they go home. The next night, the next group comes in. You may have Saren Ray Sundays, and then you may have, like, I don't know, just another god, Aries Wednesday. I don't know, just whatever you have. But just keep in mind that in villages, it's going to be a very small shrine, very simple, probably no clerics on duty. You may have a priest maybe in the village that knows a little bit about maybe some healing magic, but it's going to be like minor cure wounds that here I can stabilize this guy. I can give him like 5 hit points, but that's it. I can't heal him up to max hit points. There aren't going to be that many extras inside these villages. Unless the village is like a larger village, and then you're going almost into city status. So why would you even have them? But when I talk about the extras, I'm talking about like horses, weapons, and potions. Horses, most villages are not going to want to give up their horses. They're not. They're like, no, we need our horses. We need them. We're not going to give you 4 horses when all we have are 6. Okay. Wagons, for example, if the town only has 3 wagons per se, well, guess what? They're not going to give up one of their wagons and leave themselves with 2. No, especially if they use them to haul lumber, if they haul goods, if they have to go to the city and bring back the goods just for them, they're not going to give up those wagons. And potions definitely not potions. If they have any potions, they're going to be so expensive that honestly, if a small merchant per se, or a small shopkeep in a village has a healing potion, and somebody comes through wanting to buy it, I wouldn't say 100 gold for the healing potion. What do you mean 100 gold? Yeah, it's my only one I have left, so you're going to pay 100 gold for it. If you want cheaper, go to the city. This is my last one. I need it. And if you're if I'm going to sell it to you, you're going to pay. And that just takes me into the last thing. Things in a village will be cheaper, for the most part. You know, when you go into a city or when you go into a village, you can probably throw around 2 or 3 gold pieces and buy a lot of stuff, because these people probably haven't seen gold in a long time. They probably do a lot in copper and maybe a little bit in silver. Copper and silver are probably the primary. You throw a couple gold up on their counter, and they're rich. You know, they don't have to work again for about a year, because they can go buy everything they need for the entire year, and they can sit back and just put their feet up and watch other people do work. So keep that in mind too. In the villages, keep the prices down, but don't have as much. And then when they get to the cities, of course the prices are going to go up, but there's going to be a lot more of it to go around. Now, that's going to be the village aspect of it. Village aspect, remember, keep it simple, keep it plain. Try to keep the specialties out of your villages. And then, you know, just basically, if they keep asking for stuff, maybe have one of an enchanted item maybe laying around somewhere, but it's going to cost them like 1,000 gold. You know, this glowing sword's been here forever, and you know, it's the power of our village. And if you want this, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll sell it to you for 1,500. Just meet me out back after dark, and cheers. Yeah, but definitely make the villages waypoints for yourself. Now the cities. Now you're going to have 2 types of cities. You're going to have the first type of city, which would be a capital city. The capital city is going to have all the high-end stuff. You're talking about your enchanted goods. You're talking about anything on the general accessories list, the adventuring list, anything on that list, anything on the weapons list, anything on the potions list, pretty much. If you open up the player handbook or if you open up the DM guide and there's a chart, guess what? In a capital city, you're going to have all of that. You're going to have all of that in there. You're going to have multiple stores. You know, you're going to have probably 3 or 4 different weaponsmiths that are constantly fighting back and forth to see who can sell the most weapons and who can sell at the best price, and who has the best weapons and who has the most enchanted weapons. And you know, you're going to have a price war going on. So prices, they'll be fairly high for the items, but they're going to be, whichever where they go, there might be one's a little bit higher, one's a little bit lower. So if they go around looking for it, they might find a cheaper item. Now, that goes for everything. You're going to have your alchemists, you're going to have your scribes, you're going to have your leather workers, your jewelers, your tailors. You're going to have all those in a capital city. Now, the capital city will also have the castle of the realm. Now, the capital city is going to be heavily guarded. It's going to have guards at the gate. It's going to have guards around the castle. It's going to have guards on patrol. So, therefore, you know, you're going to have less conflict inside the city, except for maybe if you have a certain dark district, per se, that the guards don't go near, because the dark district is just horrible. Nobody wants to go to the dark district. Nobody does. So therefore, the dark district is the district that, you know, all the new guards are sent to the dark district if there's a disturbance. The veteran guards are like, dude, I got like a year left on my contract. I am not going near that place because I'm living for a year and I'm good to go. So those are the kind of things. In a capital city, you find everything you need. Now it's a matter of finding it, and it's a matter of finding the price that you want to buy it at. But you will find everything you need in the capital city. Now, below the capital city, you will have just your what I would call a city. Now, you have your villages, which are the small little, just like I said, waypoints along the way. You have your capitals, which are the large cities that have everything. Then you will have your cities. Now, the cities are going to have more than a village, but less than the capital. That's going to be your good point for what is the area around it. Is it heavy lumber? Is it going to have more Fletchers? Is it going to have more woodworking inside of it? Or is it on a river to where you have more fishing and you have more like stonework maybe or something like that? Is it in the plains to where you have more farming equipment, things like that? Or is it in the mountains to where it's like everything you need for like dungeoneering and everything you need for climbing and hiking? So your cities are going to really depend on the geographic location of where they are. They are going to have everything that you would need to survive in that geographic location. If it's a wooded area, you're probably going to have some Fletchers because the hunting is going to be really big. In a plains area, you might have one Fletcher, but probably no more than one. In a wooded area, you might have 2 or 3 because the demand will be so high for arrows because of the hunting and because of losing arrows in the woods that you may have two to 3 that are kind of competing to see who can make the best arrow, who can make the best bow. Up in the mountains, you might have the who can make the best rope, who can make the best climbing equipment, who can make the best pittance. I know that my party would love like pittance of climbing that would give them a +2 to their climbing. That may happen eventually down the road sometime, but things like that to where it's like, if they're on the plains, the farming aspect is really big. And so therefore you might be able to go get a scythe out there that's a +2 scythe. Well, the reason is because they use it to cut the hay, they use it to cut the wheat. A sickle. Well, scythe also, but a sickle. You might be able to go get a +2 sickle if you really want one. If a wizard doesn't want to carry around his staff anymore, wants to carry around a sickle, you can carry around a sickle. But you want to make it geographic. So cities will be geographically located either in the mountains, in the plains, in the forest, in the in the coastal plains or the coastal area. You might have some up in the high mountains. You might have some just set in the dead snow of a tundra plain. It's like when you go out there, they definitely sell the cold weather gear, but it's going to cost you. Because guess what? If you don't have it, you're going to die. So guess what? For a nice warm coat, you're going to pay 500 gold pieces. Might talk them down to maybe 200. But, So the 3 things that you're looking at, villages, cities, and capitals, those are going to be the 3 main you're looking at. Villages, small waypoints along the way, just to give them a place to stay, maybe from a rest. You have your cities that are going to be the intermediates. Those are going to be geographically located, and they're going to have geographical goods based upon where they are. And then you're going to have your capital cities. The capital cities are going to be the ones that have everything you need. Well, hey, folks, I hope this answered some of the question about villages versus cities. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please post down below in the link or down below in the comments. And for Dungeon Crawl Gaming, I'm DM Kevin. And just remember, if you can't run through the dungeon, at least crawl. Thanks, everybody. And again, y'all have a good New Year.